Today we are going to be doing some work with simple sentences with extensions. This is a type of sentence analysis. In the classroom, we would be using these arrows and the circles and the long roll of paper, but you guys don't have this at home. You don't have the arrows at home, and that's okay, but we can still do this work. You can get out some colored pencils, so you'll need some black, red, and I'm going to need to get an orange colored pencil to do this work. You'll need your regular pencil. You'll need a notebook, and what will be helpful, because you don't have these arrows, is a PDF document that I have also included in with the lesson in Google Classroom. So let me set down my camera and we can get started. So I'm going to start off by writing down a sentence. Nope. I need a better eraser. All right. Our neighbors raked their leaves into the street. So, first thing that we got to ask ourselves is, what is the action here? What is the action that's being done? And when I look at this sentence, I know that they raked. So typically we would cut out raked and we'd put it on top of our red circle. Instead, we're just going to circle it, that word raked, in red, or you could underline it. It's up to you. From here, we then need to ask ourselves the question, who is it that raked, or what is it that raked? And in this sentence, it is our neighbors. So I'm going to underline that once. Now we need to ask ourselves, our neighbors raked whom or what? Whom or what did our neighbors rake? They raked their leaves. I'm going to underline their leaves twice because that represents a different arrow. Now, we realize here when we look at this sentence that we haven't analyzed every single part. And we have these orange arrows that can help us. So our neighbors, we'll ask ourselves, raked their leaves with whom, with what? Into the street? No, that doesn't make sense. Our neighbors raked their leaves, what for? Into the street? That doesn't make sense. Our neighbors raked their leaves, why? Into the street. No, that doesn't make sense either. Our neighbors raked their leaves where? Into the street? Now that seems to make sense. I'll set that one aside, but I'm going to go through the rest of my arrows just in case. Our neighbors raked their leaves by whom, by what? Into the street? No. Our neighbors raked their leaves by means of whom? By means of what? Into the street? No, that doesn't make sense. Our neighbors raked their leaves how? Into the street? No, that doesn't make sense either. Our neighbors raked their leaves when? Into the street? No. Our neighbors raked their leaves from whom? From what? Into the street? That doesn't make sense either. So it looks like we have, this is our question here. So I'm going to get my orange colored pencil and I'm going to underline my little phrase here, into the street. So to review what these all mean, we circled the word raked because it is the predicate. It is the action going on. We also can draw the connection. What's the red circle in grammar boxes? What represents the action? It's also the verb, but that relates with our predicate in a different way. So we will make a little code here, a little key. So I have underline in red is the predicate. Now, when we underlined once, it was who is it that raked? That is our subject, the subject of our sentence. So one underline is our subject. Our neighbors raked whom or what is our direct object. That is whom or what is receiving the action of the sentence. So we underlined that twice for direct object. And then we have orange. Orange represents what's called an adverbial extension. Now, when you flip over our arrow, it'll tell you, because we know that our neighbors raked their leaves where? Into the street. This is an adverbial extension, and in this situation, it's of place. So I'm going to put that in parentheses underneath our phrase there. So that is one example of logical analysis or sentence analysis, a simple sentence with extensions.